Europe, 1914. The Germans and the Allies were locked in a muddy and blood-stained war of attrition which wreaked havoc on their laundry. Bogged down in the fields of France, surrounded by rats and corpses and boutique cheese shops, the soldiers on both sides had taken just about as much as any man could take. But on Christmas Day, 1914, the enemy nations heard something that made them suspend all hostilities. It was the sound of music. Not the musical starring Julie Andrews, but the actual sound of a Christmas carol being sung by homesick troops who had briefly, just for one night, decided that anything goes. Not the musical Anything Goes, but the concept pertaining to a freewheeling spirit. Every era moves to the beat of a different drum, and every week we turn to one man to tell us what those beats mean, and to explain why some beats are fat, while others are merely big-boned. Ladies and gentlemen of the world, that man is Captain Blow, and this is the Blow Parade.
Blow Parade! Blow Parade! It's the Blow Parade! Blow Parade!
Seaside Shells and the Book of Kells, how the hell are you? Captain Blow standing up on the bridge for another week, steering the good ship through calm musical waters, taking her up first through the Harmony Channel and then onto the smooth seas of Melody Strait. And it's all thanks to our very good friends at Putney Curries.
When our waiter's hair is full of nits, we'll pour curry all over it.
And sorry if I'm sounding a little more chipper than usual, but that's because, would you believe, it's my birthday today. Yes, 21 today, or thereabouts, 21 grey hairs, that is. And that's just the moustache. But I thought I would share with you some interesting factoids. Did you know, on this day in history, Feargal Sharkey was also born, and the Jonas Brothers were born again. And it was, of course, on this day in 1963 that Martin Luther King uttered this now immortal line.
When our waiter's hair is full...
Sorry, that's obviously not the right sound cart. Looks like the computer's misbehaving, so we might have to come back to that. But 1-900-BLOWER is the number to call if you want to be part of the Captain's Wheel. Let's live a little, shall we, and pick a line totally at random. Hello, who am I talking to?
Yes, hello. I'm calling from Madison Research, wondering if you have a spare 5 minutes to answer some questions.
Come again?
Are you the main shopper in the household?
Sorry, just wind back a couple of paces. Who did you say was calling?
My name's Simon from Madison Research. Just wondering if you have a spare 5 minutes to answer some survey questions.
Simon, my boy, I don't know if you realise, but you've come through to a live radio show. You're live on air, and I'm Captain Blow.
And are you the main income earner of the household?
No, you don't understand. You're actually talking to Captain Blow.
Sorry, Captain what?
Captain Blow! The Blow Parade.
Right, you don't need to tell me your name. The survey is completely confidential.
No. I tell you what, because it's my birthday, I'll answer your survey off-air if you help me with the wheel this week. Does that sound fair?
I firstly just need to know, do you or anyone close to you work in the canned food industry?
Simon, we'll get to the survey, I promise, but it is rather imperative that we give the Captain's Wheel a spin first. And after I give it a spin, I need you to call out, "I can't stop loving you," as loud as you can. Do you think you can do that for me?
It's not really covered in our training.
I appreciate that, yes, but I'm guessing I'm probably the only person who won't hang up on you today. So here we go then. Let's spin that Captain's Wheel.
I can't stop loving something or other.
Very good, I'll accept that. I will accept that as long as you got the word stop out. That's all that matters. And and you won't believe what year the wheel has landed on, Simon.
Is it related to canned food?
I'm delighted to say that this week the wheel has landed on 1983!
1983 is not related to canned food in any meaningful way. Like many calendar years, 1983 began in January, but that was rather short-lived, and 31 days later, a whole new month was brought in to replace it. 1983 was the first year that members of the band Kiss appeared in public without their makeup.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kiss.
It was also the first year that Barbara Cartland appeared in public without her makeup.
Ladies and gentlemen, Barbara Cartland.
Such were the crazy times of 1983.
Crazy is the word. It was the year we first heard singles from Madonna, the Style Council, and this lot too, the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
When our waiter's hair is full.
Not quite. My apologies again. It was also a mega year for Weird Al Yankovic, having already turned Michael Jackson's Beat It into the classic spoof Eat It. Weird Al then took his razor-sharp axe to Dexy's Midnight Runners.
Come on, ice cream, I eat gelato, it seems. Vanilla, chocolate, mint, and hazelnut praline.
Classic. He then took a torch to Prince's Little Red Corvette.
I need a good horse vet. Someone to cure my horse.
and in what I think is my all-time Weird Al favourite, he absolutely nailed Paul Young's Wherever I Lay My Hat.
Wherever I lay my cat, that's my phone.
Magic stuff. But our 1983 feature artist is, well, they're the little group from Dublin that just grew and grew and grew, and today they're just about the biggest band on the planet. But it was in 1983 when they first enjoyed massive crossover success with their astonishing record, Amen. I'm talking, of course, about the Stadium Rockers' Me, Me, Me. And up next we'll be going behind the scenes of that formidable album, which Ringo Starr once famously described as being far, far better in his opinion than anything he ever did on the Thomas the Tank Engine show. And it's all thanks to Putney Currys.
Come on, ice cream, I eat gelato.
Oh dear, how did I know that would happen? Look, we'll try to iron the gremlins out of this desk and be back with more Blow Parade right after this.
Here at Doors, 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 we're massively overstocked with doors. Front doors, back doors, fridge doors. We've even got a back door for your fridge. Or why not give your fridge a door on all four sides? We've got a door for every occasion. Birthdays, weddings, anniversaries. Nothing says I love you quite like a door. Don't put a skylight in your roof, just put in another door. And for no extra cost, we'll come round and replace all your floorboards with doors as well. Big doors, small doors, celebrity doors. For just 200 quid, you'll be walking away with a door once walked through by Jim Morrison from the Doors. So don't delay. At prices like these, our doors are literally walking out the door. And that door itself is also for sale. No one knows doors quite like Doors, Doors, Doors. So come on down to the Doors, Doors, Doors warehouse. Only don't use the front door because it's currently stuck, so you might have to enter through the window.
Right around the world, this is the Blow Parade, where it's time for our 1983 feature record. Don't touch the dial for a second during this one. It was an absolute doozy of a long player. The band was Me, 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 and the album was simply called Amen.
Yeah, I've touched the hands of angels. I've cured the sick and poor. I've sung in 40 countries, and I'll sing in 40 more. And beside me stands a living God, and Jesus is his name. He reminds me of myself at times, but he doesn't have my fame. There's a reason, just one reason, that I ever came to be. I'm here to worship you, Lord, and you're here to worship me.
I believe God gave me this voice for a purpose.
Yeah, me.
Nothing gives me more pleasure in this world than singing. You know, the only possible thing that gives me more pleasure than singing is putting on one of my own CDs and listening to myself singing.
In 1976, two shy Irish teenagers were sat together in art class at a Dublin comprehensive school.
I had a feeling straight away that Johnny might be a musician. I don't know what it was. Maybe the fact that he was playing a guitar.
The two boys hit it off at once, and within a week had resolved to form a band and write some songs. But there was an early catch.
We thought to become rock stars, we needed rock star names. And my real name was Buddy Savage. which sounded rubbish, so I went through my Latin textbooks about Caesar to find a real proper rock name. And that's how I got Weni Widdy Wiki. My real name was Johnny Elvis, which was just as crap, and it was actually Weni who first started calling me the hypotenuse, because he thought my guitar playing had a certain Pythagoras-like quality to it, which I took as a great compliment.
Together with 2 other students from the school, Winnie and the Hypotenuse began rehearsing every day after class. Singer and songwriter Winnie recalls those early days.
I think right from the start we didn't want to be a frothy pop band. We wanted to use music to say something and to engage with the turbulence and troubles we saw all around us. Other bands were doing songs about the conflicts in Ireland, and we wanted to be political like them, so when we heard about the one-day train strike in Donegal, I think that's when we first really found our voice as a band.
They've stopped the trains in Donegal. The main line's down, it won't start again till 4. I'll have to walk to work, I guess, which takes a good 10 minutes more than the express. Tuesdays like the inconvenient Tuesday. Tuesdays like the inconvenient Tuesday. How long can we go without the train? Oh no, it's starting now to lightly rain.
Tuesday's Slightly Inconvenient Tuesday became a modest radio hit, and the buzz around the band was beginning to grow. One of their early demo tapes found its way to record company mogul turned billionaire adventurer Otto Gannon.
I was in Asia at the time, halfway into my world record attempt to be the first man to circumnavigate the globe in a sedan chair. It was going quite well too, although sadly one of my carriers drowned during the Pacific Ocean leg.
Sorry, Mr. Gannon.
When I got the word that I had to check this new band out, so I made them carry me straight back to Britain.
We'd heard quite a bit about Otto. His reputation preceded him, but what nobody had ever told us was that he was an extreme germaphobe.
No, that's full of germs. That won't do.
Everything had to be sterilised before Otto would touch it. Not just his one stilt, but his stationery, his cutlery, even his car. He'd never get into his car unless it had been boiled for 2 hours in this enormous saucepan he kept in his garage.
Sterilize the crap.
Otto Gannon signed Me 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 in April of 1982, and 4 months later the band's self-titled record hit the airwaves.
And on the TV, I can't tell the difference between ABC News, Hill Street Blues, and the in-house adult porn channel. Although I'm fairly sure the porn channel is the one with all the triple penetration. Well, the God I believe in doesn't do triple penetration, mister. But he's quite fond of Holy Trinities all the same. And outside it's America. Outside it's America. It's America indoors as well. Especially if you live in America.
A lot of people said that first record was too ambitious. Others, I think, were threatened by how Christian the album was, but we don't apologise for those Bible songs. Although maybe with hindsight there would have been, better Bible verses to choose than the one with all the begatting.
Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac begat Jacob. Jacob begat Judas, and Judas begat Phares and Zarephath. And Phares begat Esrom, and Esrom begat Aram, and Aram begat Aminadab, and Aminadab begat Nahshon. Nahshon begat Salmon, and Salmon begat Booz of Rachel. Booz begat Obed Ruth, and Obed begat Jesse. Jesse begat David the King.
Pitchfork music writer Armando Hirsch.
I think what's extraordinary to me about that first record is not just the visceral cover art, which has become almost iconic or even neo-visceral, if you will, but even more extraordinary, I think, is the fact that this is a record that existed in a pre-Pixies world, a pre-Pavement world, and indeed in a pre-Neutral Milk Hotel world, which... Oh, come on. Do you really have to vacuum right at this instant? See, I know what you're trying to do, but you won't drown me out. I'll just keep on talking right over the top of that Hoover.
for Pitchfork, goddammit!
Me Me Me's self-titled debut was a breakthrough success, and the pressure was on for the band to deliver a follow-up.
The recording sessions were delayed a couple of months since the hypotenuse was caught up in Cuba, working on that side project of his that was taking as long as a Mormon Tabernacle Choir sound check. All my life I'd always been a huge fan of traditional Cuban music, and I was keen to bring it to a wider audience, so I went to Havana for 6 months to help produce a record for the Buena Vista Poverty Club.
We have no food at all. We're hungry, we're tired, we're very poor. We all 97 years of age, yet Castro make us sing all day. We can't afford new clothes or shoes. Our homes are inside public loos. The one consolation we can see, the West briefly like our first CD.
In January of 1983, the Hypotenuse finally joined the rest of the band in the studio to begin work on the Amen record.
Taste sensation, marination, degustation, caramelization, mastication, rice combination, stir-fry Asian, Tex-Mex and Cajun.
With this record, we were very much striving to achieve the 4 Ps. We wanted it to be personal, political, playable, and more successful than whatever REM was releasing against it. That's only 3 Ps, but I can't think of a P word for the REM thing. We knew with that opening track we had an immediate first single, and before they recorded Another Thing, I made them go away and shoot a video. The video for that song was a whole saga in itself. We were very keen on the idea of using a wind machine. This was the 80s. Everyone was using fucking wind machines. And if you couldn't afford one, then you just hired Aretha Franklin for 2 hours and asked her to fart in the basic direction of the singer's hair. On the day we shot the video, in addition to the wind machine, there was a Force 12 hurricane in the area, so it became a much windier shoot than any of us imagined.
Okay, standing by and playback. And the wind machine. Action!
Jesus, we've lost the hypotenuse. He's been blown into that tree. Now the tree's been uprooted and he's been blown onto that roof. Now the roof's been uprooted. So maybe we should turn off the wind machine.
Back in the studio, Weni Widi Wiki was to witness something on the television that would change the course not just of the record, but of the band's entire career.
I was watching this documentary about Ethiopia, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. All these starving young kids covered in flies, with no food, no clean water, completely malnourished. And it made me angry. I couldn't believe no one was doing anything about all those flies.
Almost overnight, Weni became fixated on a single cause, to help rid Africa of all its flies.
I will not be part of the generation who knew there were starving kids in Africa covered in flies, but did nothing about it. This is our time to take a stand. This is our time to make flies history.
We can bring this insects down. I have a dream where the children are free to believe in a world without flies. No need for fly screen or a can of Martine. We can wipe them out if we really try.
Weni's Anti-Fly Anthem became the second single off the Amen record, catapulting the album to the top of the charts and making Me 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 one of the hottest bands on the planet. Off the back of this success, Otto Gannon arranged a world tour for the band, the scale of which had never been attempted.
I remember the first time we sound checked at Wembley. It was extraordinary. We turned up with Otto, who insisted that the whole stadium be boiled inside a giant saucepan before he would enter it.
Back in the saucepan. Pull it down.
I wanted to have an amazing theatrical set, and since we had a song called Gooseberry, I always liked the idea of having a giant gooseberry as part of our stage, but because of our tour dates, giant gooseberries were out of season. So we had to go with a giant durian instead, which had its own problems.
The rock band Me 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 are staying away from their concert tour in droves due to the overwhelming stench of a giant durian.
Keenest fans braved an otherwise empty Wembley Stadium where the stench of the durian has reached an intolerable new low.
Offered to hand out gas masks to concert goers.
Pressure from fans for the band to replace the giant durian with a less odorous fruit, such as a giant cantaloupe or even a giant
Extreme popular throughout Southeast Asia has left many fans confused, saying they don't even know what a durian is. Another of the stage show's innovations involved Winnie using a satellite telephone on stage to ring various world leaders and celebrities, such as Pope John Paul II.
Hello, Your Holiness, how are you?
Who is this?
It's Wenny. Wenny Widdy Wiki. We met at the UN talks last year.
How did you get this number?
Father, I'm currently live on stage, and everyone here can hear you. And we wondered if you had a message of peace and hope for us.
Can you call back in 10 minutes? I'm just on the toilet.
Well, not really.
In fact, make it 30. I want to watch Seinfeld.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
It's the one where Jerry has to wear the puffy shirt.
It was during this tour that Winnie first began sporting his now famous pair of dark 3D sunglasses, the eyewear that's now synonymous with the singer.
People often ask about the 3D glasses. I'm not making a fashion statement. I have a rare sensitive eye condition, which means that compared to me, everyone else seems very two-dimensional and simplistic. So I have to wear these glasses to make them look normal in my eyes.
The Hypotenuse, meanwhile, was keen to use the success of the Amen record to explore new musical challenges.
Black or red, what is my vice?
Intrigued by the production of the West End musical Chess, he teamed up with lyricist Tim Rice to compose yet another musical based on a popular board game.
Backgammon, 24 points, it's not my turn. My checkers stacked upon her heart. Was I too blind not to discern? We moved in opposite directions from the start. Backgammon.
Backgammon became a runaway West End hit. Detecting a public appetite for board game-based musicals, the Hypotenuse and Rice teamed up once again to produce Hungry, Hungry Hippos.
Stop, fool, don't feed that fat hippopotamus. Were you not taught that their stomachs are bottomless? Stop banging that lever.
Side projects like this were only possible because of the artistic freedom that the success of Amen had given the band. Within just 3 years of its release, Amen had become the highest-selling stadium rock album ever released on both sides of the Atlantic.
On this last, your very first triple platinum record. No, don't put your fingers on it. Fuck, I'll have to re-sterilise it now. Get me the saucepan.
It was to be another 10 years before the band would repeat this extraordinary feat. And once again, it was a tragedy that would inspire them when, in 1994, Me 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 looked on in horror as the genocide in Rwanda unfolded on their TV screens.
The first thing I noticed was how many flies there still were. That really upset me. It was obvious that this was a country being driven apart by violence and murder and hate, and what they needed more than anything was for an Irish rock band to come and play a concert in their honour.
Is there a place where the walls don't crumble? A place where the church bells ring, the church bells ring.
He'd written a song called Miss Rwanda, and the original plan was to perform it live with Luciano Pavarotti. But he had to cancel at the last minute, and the only replacement we could find at short notice was Tiny Tim, who I think actually brought more gravitas to the song than Pavarotti would have.
Skipping through the flowers, past the pansies and the roses, come skipping through Rwanda with me.
I think with Miss Rwanda we'd come full circle as a band. It's a perfect summation of everything we'd been trying to accomplish as humanitarian artists. Plus it sold more copies than Losing My Religion. So it was pretty much win-win.
The Blow Parade with Captain Blow.
They weren't too shabby, were they? Me, and their super fantabulous record Amen, a very deserving classic album on the parade this week. I couldn't have asked for a nicer birthday present than that particular walk down memory lane, or Melody Lane, as I like to call it. And speaking of presents, Molly Neves, who put that special together, has given me a very intriguing package. Here, you didn't need to do that, Molly. Shall I open it now? What? Oh, it's not from you. It's from my wife, is it? It's from my wife's lawyers, is it? Right, well, impeccable timing, as ever. Let's just put that to one side, shall we? And I'll catch you next week on the high seas of this, my Blow Parade.
Blow parade, blow parade, it's a blow parade, blow parade.
Captain Blow would like to thank Chris Taylor, Andrew Hansen and Craig Shufton for making the Blow Parade possible. Podcasts are available at triplej.net.au.